Okay. In this video, I'm going to explain how to use a software program called an SRS. In this case, the program is called Anki, and we're going to use it to learn the moves for Ki Aikido. There's different types of moves in Aikido. Some are called Kumi waza, others are called Taigi. There are 30 Kumi wazas, and then there are, I believe, something like 180 or 150 Taigi that are out there. So for each Taigi, I think there's 20 something Taigis, and then each of them have 6 moves within them, whereas with the Kumi wazas, they're just numbered 1 to 30. And there may be some additional things, but that's a good place to start. So as an experiment, I started inputting the data from the Kumi waza into a software program called Anki, which I used to memorize things in the past. So in this video, I'll explain how to do that. So what I'd like you to do first is to download the program called Anki, and that can be found on the internet, not here on my YouTube page, but over here. So this is the Anki website, and if you come here, the first button there is download. It's a program. It works on Mac, it works on PC. I believe there's an Android version that's free. The iPad and iOS version costs $30, so I strongly recommend using one of the free versions instead. The developer is different for the iOS version, and they charge money for it, quite a lot, in fact. So the reason they believe they can charge that much is because it's very effective software. I preach it almost like a religion. It changed my life. It allowed me to go to Japanese graduate school. It allowed me to pass tests to become a translator. It allowed me to do lots of other things. And so the software really is effective. And I think it can be applied to lots of different things. I've got other personal anecdotes I can go into later, but at this point, I'll just start with that. So you get the software, and then either, well, I email you, or we set up a website where you can download the deck of cards that I've made. And basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be reviewing the moves, the 30 moves in the list, the same way that you would review flashcards. Now, the thing is with Anki is that it is a spaced repetition system. Now, what that means is that the old way of studying things, if you're trying to memorize data, is you would have a bunch of cards, like flashcards, and you'd put them in a stack. You might put a ring in or some sort of clip to hold them. And then when you study, you go through them and you just check. And you look at the front, you see if you know the answer, you check the back, you see. So if you're learning language, like vocabulary words, that's a common way to do it. But even for Aikido, you could go through, one person calls out the art, 2 people do it, and then you check to see if they're able to do it or not, and then you move on. Now, that's great, and you can go through the whole list of 1 to 30, and that's fine, but the problem is that some things are really easy to remember for humans, and some things are really hard. So if you want to be efficient in your studying, then you need to review the things that are most challenging for you most often, and not spend so much time on the things that you already know. And in order to do that, in order to effectively sort them, people have come up with all these different methods. Back in the 1970s, there was a German journalist named Leitner, and he did a lot of studies about human memory, how to take things from short-term memory and move them into long-term memory. And so the system that they came up with before there were computers was to create this series of boxes. So you can see, up here, can I not gesture that direction for some reason? Not still used to the webcam. So what we see up here is we've got these 5 boxes, and you put all your new cards in the first box. And you go through them, same process. You sort them, you answer, do I know this, yes or no? If you answer correctly, you move it to box 2. All the cards that you answered incorrectly stay in box 1. Now, what's interesting is that you review box 1 every day. With box 2, you don't review it every day. You only look at it once every 3 days. Now, if something you saw the first day and it was okay, and then it moves to box 2, and the second day it was also okay, now it's in box 3. You only look at box 3 once a week. For box 4, you might look at it once every 3 weeks. And for box 5, you're only checking it once a month, maybe once every 3 or 4 months. So what you've done is you've said that the things that you've been able to correctly identify a multiple number of times end up being reviewed less. And then the things that you are missing the most end up being reviewed more. Now, as I explain it here and with this chart, it sounds great, it sounds very easy to do, but imagine having all these boxes and pieces of paper that you're moving around. People have done it, but it's not the most effective system. So once people were able to start organizing this on the computer and having the computer do this for them, it became a lot easier. So the really good thing that Leitner did, though, was come up with the formulas that were used for determining when something moves from which box to which box, or how much time needs to be in between each box based on the number of times you got something right or the number of times you got something wrong. I think one thing that you really get from memorization is an awareness that there's certain things that cause triggers in your mind that make it really easy to recall things, and there's other things that are going to just, you can see it 1,000 times and you won't remember what it is. And just accept that, and then use this type of system to be able to hammer the things that are hard for you into you faster. And so what this basically means is that you are going to just focus on the arts that you struggle with most. Now, the one complaint I do hear about this software from people is that it can be a little bit demoralizing. Like, it makes it a little bit hard to focus on the things you don't like doing, because we live in a society that has so much, these little rewards and, little pats on the back and pep talks and things that tell you that you're doing a good job. And we're not really conditioned right now to be comfortable with looking at the things that we suck at and continue to focus on those. We need to, though. I mean, they did studies about the world leaders in sports and music and all these different fields. And one thing that they discovered is that these people are training, 4 hours a day on average. And if you're practicing something 4 hours a day, they also notice that they sleep 9 hours a night. So these people who practice 4 hours a day, what they're practicing is the thing that they can't do yet. They're able to focus on the point at which they need to improve most in order to get to the next level. Because otherwise you're practicing things that you can already do and you're wasting your time, or you're shooting for stuff that's far above your ability level and you're just going to, injure yourself or become more demoralized. So there's this fine balance between it. And some people look at this software as something that can cause you to focus too much on the things that are hard, but I think that's just something we need to toughen up and figure out how to embrace that, because now we finally have the tools that can show it to us. So let's go back over to the software itself. When you get the software, there'll be a deck here. This one is by default named default. We're going to rename it to Kumi waza because that's what it shows. You wouldn't have to do that probably. And what I did in the settings, you'll notice that you can set the number of new cards per day. Right now it's set at 1. Or there's 1 card that's due. We've got 20 new ones. We're actually going to set the number of new cards a day to 1. So now we've got 1 card that's due from yesterday from our experiment that I set up, and then 1 card that's new today. So I'm going to click on Kumi waza, and it shows we have 1 new card and 1 card that we've already reviewed, or that we're learning. We made a mistake on it. We need to review it. And then no cards that are coming up for review. So if I click study now, the first card that shows up, let's see if we can hear it. So I've gone through and I've recorded my voice for all of the arts, and so this would come up, and then 2 people would do the art, myself or my kids or whoever it is. And then down here at the bottom, let's see, I would click the button that says Show Answer. And here we have the name of the art. Again, I have inserted my own translation partway in. And then I have borrowed the art that was in the book called Secrets of Aikido, I believe, or Secrets of Ki Aikido. Secrets of Aikido, I think by the New Jersey Ki Federation. I might be getting the name wrong. I'll need to check again. But their book was one of the only places I found diagrams like this, and I borrowed them or stole them, however you want to think about it, and put them into here because that seemed like the most effective way to do this at this point. I'm not going to draw these pictures again, and I'm not selling this as a product, so copyright is not my concern. I don't even know why I'm even talking about it. So here we have the art's name, where I've inserted my own English translation into the part so that you can get familiar with understanding how the sentences are broken down. You can see the movements here. And then down at the bottom, here's where the program is most interesting. You have 3 buttons. You've got a button for again, and it says less than 1 minute. You have a button for good, which is 1 day. And you have a button for easy, which is 4 days. So what's interesting about this is as you do the arts based on your performance or based on your self-assessment, you would decide whether it was something that you forgot. So you would push again, and then in a minute you would just do it again. And if you were able to remember it the second time, then you would push good. good would mean that it would come back one day later, so you would practice it the next day. If it was easy for you, if it was totally easy, you could do it relaxed, you could keep one point, you were, extended and big, you might be able to push 4 and it wouldn't come back for 4 days. And so in this one, we're going to just go ahead and say it was good.
片手取り、転換、呼吸投げ。
And it shows me the next card. So I push show answer again. And now here you'll see that previous card was one we were reviewing. So the times that it said was less than 1 minute, less than 1 day, or 1 day, and then 4 days. Here you'll notice, because this is a new card, the options are a little bit different. We have less than a minute, less than 10 minutes if it's good, and then 4 days if it's easy. So this is the second art, katate tenkan koku nage, and katate tori tenkan koku nage, sorry. And so again, we've got the translation, and we've got the diagrams of how to do it. And let's say this one was
片手取り、転換、呼吸投げ。
So what I can do is, this program is really cool. It shows you all the stats of what's coming up, how many cards you have total, what your answers are for them, the maturity of the cards, and for each card you can go through and let's see what we can see about it. So we're able to go through and it'll show us, you can edit the cards and do different things with them here. And so what that'll let you do is, by studying with this, you get to skip over the arts that you already are very comfortable with and continue to focus on the ones that you're not comfortable with. And after doing this for 1 month, every day, for probably 5 to 10 minutes, you would be comfortable, I would say, almost 100% comfortable with the names of the arts, the meaning of the arts, and the movement of the arts, because you've focused on practicing them in a very focused and directed way. If you have any questions about this, please contact me, and I will create more videos in the future. This is just a live broadcast, one take. I don't have any editing that I'm going to do to it, so if you have questions, I can just make a new one. Thank you.